guys, Weevil, you to be here back with another video, and welcome to another episode of Rules of the Game. Today we're going to be talking about negation and spell speeds. My motivation behind this is basically that on doing the work I found that a lot of people don't seem to realise that once you negate something, a chain ends, unless they can respond with equal or greater spell speed. And it is something which has come up again and again, and so I decided to review it in this video. My overall aim is to clarify the concept of negation in the context of the field in general, as well as in the context of several cards which are very commonly played in the TCG, and how negation affects those cards. Let's get into it, shall we? Okay, so we are all aware of the various types of spell cards and trap cards that are out there. We know that they intuitively work against certain other cards when played. We don't necessarily have to learn the technical details behind why this happens. For example, we know that Skill Drain is Spell Speed 1, because it is a continuous trap card. We also know that Field Spell cards follow the same rule. Normal spell cards are also Spell Speed 1, and that normal trap cards and counter trap cards are Spell Speeds 2 and 3 respectively. But we may not be able to attach the terms to that. We may just be able to associate it with a particular context. In other words, my opponent activates Future Fusion, a continuous spell card of Spell Speed 1. I chain MST. He never gets to send the monsters to the graveyard since it isn't a cost, and he never gets to activate its effect. But the only thing you really need to know is that the card is of equal or greater spell speed than the card it's responding to, and secondly, that it doesn't have any specific activation condition, such as when an opponent declares an attack, or during a certain step of the battle phase, or something like that. It is literally as simple as that, and if you learn these basic steps, if you learn which cards are which spell speeds, and which cards can respond to other cards, you don't need to rely on convention and context and repetitive association between particular combos to remember what cards can work against what other cards. Every card can work or be changed to any other card, provided it is of equal or greater spell speed and doesn't have any specific activation condition. Remember, this happens with effects as well. Tour Guide from the Underworld, for example, is a trigger effect when it is normal summoned. I've gone through this in my previous Rules of the Game video, so you can take a look at that for effect types and timing. But needless to say, effects have spell speeds just as spell and trap cards do, and you can respond with them in a chain in the same way. But how does the concept of negation enter this discussion? Well, we're going to talk about that now. So we generally think of negation as a bad thing because it's always pictures of these old men passing decrees and forbidding stuff like Solemn Judgment, Solemn Warning, Royal Decree, Imperial Order, Imperial Iron Wall, etc. But there are more important things to note about negation. First of all, most cards that negate anything are counter traps, which means they are spell speed 3. So we know that quick play spell cards are spell speed 2, for example, as well as normal trap cards, but counter trap cards are spell speed 3. And if you respond with a counter trap card to something, your opponent cannot activate anything else except another counter trap card, because the response must be of equal or greater spell speed, as I have said before. Secondly, and I have brought this up in my previous video, all costs must be paid before you activate the card. Technically, what you should say is, I paid 2,000 life points to flip over Solemn Warning. You don't flip it over and then pay the cost. You're paying the life points to flip it over in the first place. Most people don't realize this, but it's an activation cost. It's not a cost that activates or that you pay on resolution of the card. So for example, if my Solemn Judgment were to get negated by another Solemn Judgment, both players would still have to pay the cost, even though one of them was negated by the other. Another point worth noting is that monsters whose effects depend on being sent from the field to the graveyard, for example, if their summon is negated, they were never technically on the field in the first place, and so their effect will never activate. That is what you have to consider about negation. Negation negates the existence of the card ever being on the field, or being activated, or anything of that kind. But is spell speed 3 necessary for negation? In other words, are cards that negate always spell speed 3? No. Effects which negate are always spell speed 2, which is the reason why in a chain you can respond to Evil's Lagia negating something, for example, with another spell speed 2 card. Not many people know this. Most people think that, oh, Evil's Lagia has negated something, therefore I can't respond with anything. But no, as long as you respond with a card of equal or greater spell speed, you can still respond to Lagia's effect. Line Darkness Dragon is another example, and most people seem to know about this, the idea that he can only negate a card once within a chain. And that if you chain Book of Moon to him after he's negated something within the same chain, then he goes to face down defense position and you can attack over him. Players using Line Darkness Dragon also know that if you chain Book of Moon to him and you flip him back up, his effect resets. Nevertheless, the point to note is that he has spell speed 2 negation, just like Shien, Evil's Lagia, Evil's Dalka, etc. Spell speed 2 negation also exists with spells and traps in the form of Void Trap Hole, a newly released card. When your opponent special summons a monster, it basically negates that monster's effects if it has 2,000 or more attack. So I'm not sure whether it will work against Evil's Lagia, but it is a distinct possibility. I'll have to look into the rulings myself on that. If anyone finds out, please let me know. We even have spell speed 1 negation in the form of Royal Decree and the now banned Royal Oppression. So it stands to reason that negation with a counter trap is a specialised form of negation, and that isn't necessarily the only type of negation that there is. And remember, of course, that it's not always about spell speeds either. It's not simply a matter of responding with an equal or greater spell speed. Super polymerization, for example, doesn't allow the opponent to respond to the card because it says so in the card text. So for me, the card text is the most important thing which determines what a card can negate, how it can outspeed something, what it can outspeed, etc. So for spell speeds, remember that there are spell speeds 1, 2, and 3, that you can only respond to a card if it has equal or greater spell speed within the chain, and that this is perfectly legal, provided there isn't a specific activation condition of that card. Secondly, as regards negation, there is spell speeds 1, 2, and 3 negation, and that for me, the card text is the most important thing. Anyway guys, that is it for the video today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to let me know what you thought of it, and if I missed anything. Thank you so much for watching. As always, be sure to comment, rate, and subscribe. I've almost hit 200 subscribers, and I need your guys' help to help me do that. So, I'm Wheelie VTuber, I am signing out. I will catch you guys later. Peace.